Hello my friends and welcome back to the Brightworks, where today I've got a very quick match for you on Bismuth Valley. We're going to be following the adventures of a couple of very high true skill players as they make their way across this Bismuth Latin warscape here. Spawning on the western side and representing the red team as the Cortex Commander, it's going to be 8D, a fan favorite, and we've seen him all over the channel as of late. 48 true skill and plenty of silver bars to match. It should be a proper high-level game. Going for, oh interesting, 2 mechs, wind turbine, 3rd mechs, solar panel, a little bit of a hybrid energy economy. Quite nice there. Spawning on the other side of the map and representing the blue team, it's GG Gaming, GG. Going to be playing as a blue Cortex Commander, spawning here on the double metal extractor spot and going for that bot lab after a couple of wind turbines. Very good to see. Usually when I'm looking for replays, there tend to be a couple of different styles, right? There's either the ones that go the hour long, the hour and a half long, they become these ultimate late game T3 brawls, right? You see multiple wall cannons, all that sort of stuff. And other times you see these ones that are these explosive T1 matchups where we just see nothing but non-stop aggression all the way across the space of the entire match. And I think this is definitely that second kind of match here. So if that's what you're looking for, then this might be the one for you. And if you enjoy either one of those kinds of videos, you can always hit that subscribe button down below. Get notified whenever a new video comes out every single day. Get your fix of Beyond All Reason. I know I sure am addicted. X Factor Live, pumping out not 1, not 2, but a grand total of 8 ticks. 9 ticks. Any more? Maybe some more. Whole lot of ticks, sending them across the map here, looking to do a lot of damage. Usually 3 ticks is where I draw the line, but certainly going for more is not the end of the world, if you can manage to get some aggression across, of course, right? Once you get into too many ticks, they start to be a significant cost. I mean, 170, you could compare that to the cost of a builder, right? They could be a single constructor that's already moving forward and starting to claim metal extractors, so you have to weigh that cost against also how much you can micro, right? So if you're going to be spending APM microing all of these ticks, then you might accidentally end up slacking on your eco at home, or maybe, yeah, causing other issues for yourself, right? So you have to be careful about that. But here, looks like the ticks are going to be microed pretty well right now, as X Factor Live has got them running around all over the place, giving the blue team a run for their money here. Yeah, we can see we can see various units from all of the different players here pulled to try and deal with this yellow tick menace, trying to find an opening and harass over here. But nice defense, deflecting, pushing back, and otherwise killing the yellow ticks here. Nicely done. Those grunts very good at repelling those ticks. Basically their prime directive, right? They're very, very good at that stuff, but still pulled out of position is one of the grunts here for Skaggy, and indeed a couple of ticks managed to slip through. Now there are reinforcements, so they're going to be trying to deal with this, but at the very least 2 of those ticks do manage to make it into the backline here. I wonder what they're going to find. They've already found the base of our blue player GG Gaming. They looks like they're going to be heading on over towards some of the metal extractors over here. Ooh, can we save it? Oh, they do manage to, GG Gaming that is, does manage to save the metal extractor. Nicely done. The tick's not going to be able to get a kill there. At the very least delaying this metal extractor, I suppose. Yellow ticks coming in to finish the mission here and are going to pop all of the wind turbines for the blue player. Ooh, that's annoying. Shutting down all the energy production really puts you at a stall on the front lines here. Forced to go for a tricky decision. Do you build some energy forward on the front line here, much more prone to harassment, or do you just wait for the energy infrastructure to come back online in the back lines here? It's a real tricky problem to solve, especially for GG Gaming here, who is completely out of metal. Metal has been well spent across the map here, making units and making infrastructure, and yeah, it's going to be tricky to rebuild at this point. Aggression over on the northern side as well, as it does look like we do have a couple of Rascals looking to get aggressive over here. Rascals typically trade out a whole lot better than Rovers. However, if you have enough of them, it just won't matter. And indeed, that is the case here, as Mac 675 has shut down completely the aggression that was sent across the map here. Grunt was also sent over. Red Rover, but it will go down as well. 8D expanding very quickly here. Very nicely done. Oh, even ate up the bot lab here. Interesting decision. So pumping out a whole lot of bots and then eating up the lab to have a little bit of extra metal so that no metal stalls or anything like that are going to come up here. Going for a little bit of build power back here. I wonder why. What could you have up your sleeve here, 8D? Going for a couple of advanced solar panels here. Nicely done. This is what I really love to see. Going for these advanced solar panels, you can see the constructors here using a grand total of 7 metal per second and 79 energy per second, well within the spending limits, right, of the red player here. So it doesn't really cost you a whole lot, but over time, you're eventually going to end up with a phenomenal economy. I really like to see it. Now, you do have to be careful because that will drain your metal eventually. They are very metal intensive, those advanced solar panels. But if you can afford it, and on a map like this, you certainly can with how many metal extractors there are, certainly something to keep in mind. Commander up north here, Delphi, has gotten himself, well, pretty well situated on the front lines. Rage building a forward line here as well, using these light laser turrets to forestall the push right now for the red team, but all said and done, both teams securing 2 metal extractors apiece. It's going to be a fairly even trade now. Aggravator is going to be perfect for shutting down a whole lot of the aggression over here. Indeed, those laser towers are going to be halted in their tracks, pushed back and destroyed, and likewise going to be the case here for Delphi. The range of a Dragon's Claw, 440. The range of a Aggravator, 475. So the rocket bots can well outrange those lightning turrets, but they're difficult to target, right? When they're in their little shell like this, they can be very, very tricky to kill. They have very high resistance when they're in their tucked away state like that. And yeah, if you're firing at them while they're tucked away, it's very difficult to kill them. And indeed, with the range being what it is, oftentimes they can still manage to snag a hit or two on your ranged Rocketeers, even if you don't intend to, or even with some of the best micro in the world. Nice little battle going on over there. Meanwhile, in the middle of the map, 8D pushing forward here, trying to claim some of these metal extractors. Those are 2.8, so they're very, very valuable. Predator moving forward with a Wolverine and a Lasher, trying to use that missile truck to harass back some of these lighter units that are now out on the field here for the red and pink players combined. A couple of vehicles coming up. We do have 2 Pounders as well as a Lasher. Pounder is going to accompany this this field of units here quite nicely. Obviously going to shut down any spam that comes towards them. They have a little bit of AoE as well as some impulse on their attacks, making them an ideal unit for if you're needing to go for some sort of anti-swarm, right? Good for countering ticks, pawns, grunts, even tanks in large enough numbers, right? When they start to group up, they can really slow them down and start to gum up the gears and cogs that make those tanks really spin. Whistler being vastly annoying over here alongside this Wolverine. This is a wombo combo, the Lasher mixed with the Wolverine over here, because of course the Lasher has tremendous vision range and the Wolverine has tremendous firing range. So when you put them together, you end up with a really complicated, or rather not a very complicated, but a rather complex composition here. X-Factor Live trying to get an engagement. Ooh, might go down to the laser turret. Oh, X-Factor Live's commander goes down to the hero laser turret over here. GG Gaming's light laser turret has managed to snipe the yellow commander, getting the kill right there. That is tremendous. 1.2 thousand metal going to be lying on the field now, and that is something I'm sure the blue team is eager to get their grubby mitts on. Aiden moving over immediately to eat up that slurpy metal. Really going all over the place with the adjectives today, huh? Going to be enjoying that metal thoroughly and churning out a whole bunch of units with it, I'm sure. A couple of Centurions on the front line. Very expensive unit to go for. I'm not sure if it's the right decision here. I'm just not sure if bots are the right decision overall here. You can see they're really struggling against this vehicle composition just because those vehicles have a lot more range and a lot more firepower. When the artillery hits, though, it definitely hits hard. Wolverine's not the pinnacle of anti-unit, anti-unit defense, right? But certainly good enough against these units that are very, very slow, like the missile trucks and the Janus tanks. Decent when they can connect, right? When they can connect being the biggest determinant. The hold is stable here for GG Gaming. However, there's a whole bunch of T1 Banshees coming out. Okay, well, I undercut the Banshee a whole lot. I think it's pretty abysmal as far as gunships go, but when you have very little anti-air on your defense, certainly they can get a little bit of work done here. Scaring off a lot of that T1, if nothing else. Still, I don't think they managed to get their values out. You gotta remember, each one of those is 135 metal, and we saw about 6 of them come out here now, and more than half of them are dead. Or rather, about exactly half of them are dead. There we go. Half of them are dead. More than half of them are dead. I was waiting. I was predicting that coming true. Right? Saw the future. Big old aggression up north here does yield the death of another commander. Looks like AD was trying to take down Mac as well while he was fighting for his life over here. Mac's commander on just 3% health, retreating, tail tucked between leg, trying desperately to flee from this engagement. Red commander does go down, but that metal goes back to the red team, so at the very least, it's not a total loss. It just means one less D-gun available in the front lines should a nasty tank push or even a very early T2 push make its way across the map here. Still, Wolverines are available for the red player. Going to be more than happy to push through here, I'm sure, supplying a little bit of, that high power economy, or high power damage economy, right? Meanwhile, AD is completely uninvested on the front lines anymore, going into an air transition here. You can see just how quick these pros really switch it up here. 48 true skill and showing us exactly how far that goes here. Switching into air as quick as it goes, trying to use this position that's well defended by his teammate now. No hotkey needed. Pulled up into this northern lane. 8D reading that perfectly and realizing, well, my lane is going to be covered anyway. Might as well use this time, use this advantage to go for something a little bit different. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some bombers coming out. Oh, they're already made and they're already on the way here. They're going to be headed across the field. Wonder what they're going to be going for. There are some scout points included here. You can see that Finch falling behind these bombers, going to be perfect for allowing these bombers to, yeah, get a little bit of value out here. And indeed, those bombers going to drop their payload on a bunch of metal extractors over here. Nicely done. Getting 2 of them. 2 out of 3. Not bad. That's a weird target. Oh, it's the same turret. I thought it was a construction turret. No, okay, that makes a whole lot of sense, actually. Taking down the same turret. Quite nice. Going to shut down the anti-air defense here for the green player quite swiftly. The nice spread on those advanced solar panels does mean that it's not an ideal bombing target. I think that's why we do indeed see these bombers changing course and headed directly towards this base here. This is an air player, so it's absolutely premier target for bombing out of existence. And you can see those bombers spend no hesitation taking out that other air player on the other side. That's going to mean that these are essentially uncontested. Now, there are a couple of fighters out and available, and they're going to start shooting down these bombers, but the fighters don't shoot bombers down super quick, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see at least a couple more bombing runs from a lot of these whirlwinds here. You know what, maybe I spoke too soon. Those bombers are going down pretty quick. Good enough here from the Cyan player to shoot down those bombers. A bunch of fighters are pulled, but it's way, way, way too slow, and those fighters are eventually... They're going to win air supremacy over here, so maybe a second round of bombing could commence. But still, the bombers have been taken care of, and that is the major threat. As a player right now, you have to look at this and realize, okay, our air player has been bombed. We have no air defense. We have no air defense in the air, so it's time to go for a whole lot of anti-air on the ground. SAM turrets, ferrets, wolverines, any of those that can shoot up into the sky might be well worth it here. T2 transition in mass. Wow, very far forward T2 lab from TX55. What that's a reference to. Almost feels like a Terminator model, right? Anyway. TX55 holding the front line with a couple of fat boys that have been produced here. Very, very heavy hitters. Essentially the juxtaposition to the tank, so it's funny that we see the Tsar going up against the fat boy here. But either way, those fat boys are going to be hurling motes of plasma, condensed matter plasma, all the way across the field here. Oh, scratching up Delphi pretty harshly as that commander was just standing next to that tank. Just a little bit of AoE damage right there. I feel like the Tsar wins this battle just because it can fire a little bit faster, but the Tsar can only fire when it isn't moving. Or rather, it can only fire at its full fire rate when it's not moving. When it's moving around like this, its turret on top takes a long time to recalculate and re-aim. And oftentimes you actually end up with a Tsar that is not firing nearly as often as you hope it would. Not nearly as fast as it potentially could anyways. Yeah, there we go. The Fat Boys marching their way across. Very resilient bot. And capable of dishing some supreme damage as well. Here we go. Going to be striking down that Tsar here. Nicely done. Risky to put that bot lab that close on the front line there, but I suppose it could pay out. Whoa, Delphi, I do believe, gonna go down here to the Fat Boys, taking down a whole lot of those tanks with them. The Fat Boy push, okay. Who knew? Fat Boy's pretty powerful, huh? Doing great work up here on the northern side, completely pushing back this engagement here. There is a radar bot included, so these Fat Boys going to be more than happy to shoot away at those commander blips that are appearing in the fog of war there. Nicely done by our brown commander. Meanwhile, commander goes down here for the blue team as well. The purple commander, that is, goes down for the blue team from a bunch of orange tanks just rolling on through, steamrolling on the northern side. Exactly against the aggression on the southern side, as we already see that the forces of GG Gaming have pushed through on this defensive side. A bunch of construction turrets deployed over here to try and eat up a bunch of the wreckage, but we do see these Cyan tanks starting to make a mess of the bases on the southern side. A full-blown base trade. We're in a yin-yang situation, so it's going to be up to the blue team here to hold against the ever-encroaching tide on the northern side so that the blue team can swarm through the bottom here. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing. GG Gaming moving his commander in even. I wonder what we're going to be using the commander for. I mean, obviously, you can use it to de-gun down labs. It's a very good tactic, right? You de-gun down those laboratories so they can't produce any units to stop your push. Also quite risky, though, right? If your commander gets shot out of the air by a stray anti-air defense, well, that's the end of that. And also a lot of metal down the drain, too. Now, there is a full-blown T2 response being mounted here. So a lot of this T1's going to be cleaned up relatively efficiently here. And indeed, you can see those bulls sweeping across those T1 medium tanks and making short work of those birds here, those bulls. Much, much more powerful than those T1 tanks. Very expensive, but also very cost efficient. Fiend's also doing a great job here. Well, medium tanks do find an advanced Geo. Oh, that Geo's right next to the T2. Oh, they do get the T2 with the advanced Geo's explosion. Nice little bit of value right there from those medium tanks. Also taking down all that T2 unit that was, all those T2 units rather, that was built around and marching around in that area as well. Nicely done. Very, very good use of those T1 medium tanks. Northern side now crumbling to a whole bunch of welders that are pushing through. Welders drastically more sturdy than you'd imagine. They're very tough to kill, tough to bring down. Very thick armor plating on those lightning channelers, lightning benders. They know how to hit too. They can definitely pack a wallop in there, a little lightning gun, a little welding gun that they have there. I almost have to wonder if the welder is sort of a militarized civilian use sort of piece of equipment, right? Like, was this something that was used for building buildings, like a construction bot that was just, they were like, hey, you know what, this thing would make a pretty beefy unit if we just strap some armor plating onto it and overcharge their welder gun. Wonder if that's what happened there. Could be canon, could not be canon. That's up for you to decide in the comment section down below. Yeah, I mean, here come the Fiends, ready to clean up all this mess. GG Gaming retreating the commander to the high ground there. I quite like that, actually. That's quite nice. This is great, though. Capturing all these metal extractors right here, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but that's tons and tons of metal that were pumped into the bank here of the blue player that were otherwise just going to be wasted. Very nicely done to get all of those. Managed to recapture all of those. We do have some Twitchers that were sent out to try and reclaim a whole bunch of stuff over here. We'd love to see some res bots spared to try and get these players back into the game, or at the very least a whole bunch of constructors wouldn't be bad. Already you can see, oh, we have some Webbers out. Lovely stuff. Love the Weber. One of my favorite units of all time. And you can see them paralyzing the entire base over here for our Lavender player, Rage, who is now going to be stuck with a whole bunch of paralyzed, essentially useless units here. D-guns down the lab so that it can't produce any more of those T2 units. Very nicely done. Running away with the constructors, but they're falling under grunt laser fire. Don't think there's going to be much left in the world here for our Lavender player. Maroon running through this base with reckless abandon here, sending the grunts on to kill the wind turbines, and then eventually, we believe, into the base of Green over here. Welders marching forward as well. Excellent push up on the northern side. Capitalizing on that advantage from those fat boys and the space that they were able to bargain for, right? The space that they were able to eke out with that heavy plasma round, and eventually able to turn that into an overwhelming victory. Shuriken doing a great job of trying to patch up this wound, right? But again, it's a band-aid on an open. Deep gash. Those Shuriken only going to be able to do so much to forestall the inevitable across this northern front here. And with the southern side essentially cleaned up down here, I think it's going to be pretty tricky for the blue field, or the blue team rather, to find any purchase. We go into T3. That's what I'm expecting here. Doesn't look like it. GG Gaming not going into a T3 transition. I wondered if maybe the lack of units across here was due to a T3 transition with maybe a little bit of eco on the back lane. Doesn't look like that was the case. We do have a bunch of res bots eating up T1 solar panels. I'm always happy to see that. Pyrotech in the middle, suffering quite a beating from these medium tanks. Heavy tanks, I mean. Those are Tigers and they're T2. They hit like it too. And there they go. Now one of them in the back line. Uh-oh. Shuriken's going to try and save the advanced geothermal here. Looks like we have the EMP rework enabled here, so this tank is slowing down slowly but surely here, and eventually will be paralyzed into non-functionality, and then eaten molecule by molecule by those constructors. Pyrotech moving his commander forward, but he gets caught by a bunch of grunts. Not necessarily the most efficient trade right there. Self-destruct order given to a whole bunch of static defense over here. A little bit too slow. Doesn't manage to go off. At the very least, some of these defenses will pop here. Denying the economy back to the player on the northern side here, the maroon player. These Webbers, it's their other functionality, right? They're great for reclaiming everything over here. All the bases that they kill, the people that they paralyze, they can just eat them right up after they're done killing them. I think it's the perfect use for a spider, right? Catches them in their web and then slowly digests them until they're nothing but goo that the Armada commander can use to shape into new units. Very grim, very brutal, and I love it. Medium tanks. Heavy tanks. I always confuse the Tiger for a medium tank. It is a heavy assault tank. The problem is that I compare it oftentimes to the Bull, and they're just not the same unit. They don't function the same. They don't fill the same niches. They're just definitely not the same in basically any way. But anyways, tirade to the side. This is a unstoppable swarm here. Not enough Tiger tanks, and really there's just not enough of anything here to stop the push from 3 different players all marching in at the same, well, 2 different players, I suppose, marching in from all the same sides. Those welders putting in an immense amount of work, as well as all of those grunts swarming around like an angry nest of bees. Maybe Hornets is a better option here. And indeed, I think this is going to be the crumbling collapse of the blue team here that just don't have a response. Now, there's a lot of tanks getting ready to move over here. We have 6 of those Tiger tanks getting ready to storm on through, but I think there's probably going to be enough to defend against that. Meanwhile, the blue team is looking to send a whole bunch of military into the back line, but there's no response yet. I mean, the pit bull is nice. It's going to, at the very least, shut down some of these grunts, but one by one. And definitely not ideal for doing big swarms of units, like, for instance, 100 million ticks knocking at your front door. Indeed, this is going to be a quick little sweep over here on the northern side. I do believe sprinters trying desperately to move in and try and help however they can. The welders are pretty much designed to shut down sprinters. Fiends as well on their list of things that are perfect for blasting apart into smithereens. And likewise, there's a couple of sprinters that have been sent over from TX55 here that are now going to run right past the defenses and try and clean up whatever's going on over here. Fusion reactor was built right now for GG Gaming. He does a lot of metal in the bank right now, but no way of spending it as far as I can see. Yeah, no labs out. Nothing that I can tell as far as, being able to actually spend any of this. And it does look like that will be it for the blue team, who had a phenomenal push on the southern side, but just couldn't close out the game. The armored response was just too thick here from the red team when they saw that their southern side was giving. And indeed, it's going to be Red who claims victory today in this match of Beyond All Reason. Very nicely done, excellently done to TX55, earning the Golden Cow Award for that fabulous push with those welders right through the middle of the map here, well, through the middle section of the top of the map here. And that's going to be a decisive victory for our brown team. Hey, if you enjoyed today's match, you can always show your support by hitting the like button down below. It really helps me and helps the algorithm learn more about Beyond All Reason. Puts us out on the map, right? Get to know the game a little bit more. Also helps the channel, of course, as well. You can also subscribe if you feel like joining the daily Beyond All Reason content that does come out, daily. But other than that, I do hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next Beyond All Reason video. Peace out, folks.